Tim Cook is out at Apple. He is set to retire basically at any moment now. This is kind of the open secret in the tech world, and Apple is about to get a new CEO. But who? It seemed almost like a done deal that the sort of Tim Cook version 2, Apple's current COO, Jeff Williams, was gonna take the #1 spot. But with sort of the surprise announcement he was leaving the company, now we're sort of back to square one. Who's gonna replace Tim Cook? I've got 3 theories, I think 3 pretty good ideas of who could replace Tim, and the twists and turns in the story just don't stop. Buckle up, we've got a lot to unpack. And also give a big thanks to VAIM for sponsoring this video. Okay, so let's just face it. If you were to think about the glory days of Apple, you probably think of when Steve Jobs was around and giving those presentations and revealing new products and really lighting a fire under everyone to make Apple great. I mean, if you think about like sort of his second stretch as CEO from like the 90s to when he died around 2010, 2011, Apple did a lot in that time. New iPods, the all-new iPhone, the iPad came about, the Mac line was transformed. So many things happened in addition to the stuff we think sort of forget about. Apple TV, Apple services, iTunes, so much happened when Steve Jobs was running the show. And then when Tim Cook took the place of him, well, things just got a little complicated. Now, this isn't to say that Tim Cook's a bad guy or he was a bad CEO. Apple is certainly a much more financially successful company today than it ever was under Steve. But is that the metric for success that Apple should be going for? Is that what gets people excited about the new iPhone or the new Apple Watch? Maybe Apple needs someone unlike Tim and more like Steve to really jump in and shake things up again. But let's push that to the side for a moment because I've got 3 names of who would make a good Apple CEO. I know I'm gonna get roasted for this. I know some of you guys are gonna be upset, but just hear me out. You can drop your comments down below to who should take the top spot. And the first name I'm gonna say is gonna get me in trouble, but I'm gonna say it. Someone who would make a great Apple CEO in 2025 might just be Elon Musk. Yes, I'm talking about that Elon Musk, the guy that's always in the news, the current head of a space company and a car company and an AI company and all this stuff. Maybe, former White House advisor thrown in there as well. Obviously, Elon is a very busy and very controversial man that comes with baggage, but Elon does have some very interesting qualities and also has 3 important things that Apple desperately needs right now that might just be enough to make him being Apple CEO kind of a good idea. For starters, it is no surprise that Apple is severely behind in the AI game, and what does Elon Musk have as one of his companies? A little thing called XAI. And you can make fun of Grok and the different things that company is doing, but they are really pushing the boundaries in terms of AI. And what we're seeing these days, a lot of their models are even in some metrics outperforming and at least being competitive with OpenAI and things like that. If Apple really wanted a great AI play, what better solution than to bring in the guy who owns an AI company and maybe even bring that into Apple? We always know that Apple prefers to do things in-house. They don't want to work with partners. They want that end-to-end control. And having Elon as CEO would make that happen and definitely make it way more possible than it is right now. The second thing Elon has is Starlink, which we know that Apple, kind of in a not-so-secret sort of way, highly regrets not going with when they launched their emergency SOS satellite feature. We know that years ago, Apple had looked into Starlink. For whatever reason, they decided a partnership wasn't there. And I think now that Apple highly regrets that decision. Not only would it just be a way better solution for Apple customers, but we've also heard rumblings that Apple has always wanted to ditch the cell carriers. They would love their own Apple, certified, unified system. And what better technology for that than Starlink? I mean, imagine the sales pitch that you could get high-speed internet on your Apple device seemingly anywhere in the world thanks to the technology built in. That's what they could do with SpaceX, that again is another Elon company he's got under his belt. Another sort of check in Elon's corner. Of course, there are other connections that Elon has, and yeah, if Apple ever wanted to jump back into the car scene or the autonomy full self-driving thing, I mean, Tesla would make so much sense for that. There's obviously a lot of connections, but more than that, I think that if there's one person on this planet who had, love it or hate it, an abrasive management style that got things done and wasn't afraid to challenge the status quo, it would be Elon Musk. In a lot of ways, Steve Jobs and Elon Musk are very, very similar, and love it or hate it, maybe that's what Apple needs right now. And I know it would be a logistical, issues. I know that it would be a PR nightmare, but Elon Musk running Apple, for better or worse, would bring about a lot of change, and likely a lot of innovation, and probably some drama too. And I think one of the reasons all this talk about who's gonna be the next Apple CEO is so important is because a lot of us just wanna see innovation from Apple again. We want some exciting stuff, but luckily we don't have to wait around for Apple to maybe or maybe not do something, because other companies are doing some really awesome, innovative things, like this video sponsor VAIM with their Rec Dot earbuds. These are the smartest wireless earbuds you will ever wear that sound super great and are also packed with some insane tech and smarts inside that honestly are finally giving me something that I've always wanted. These always seem like science fiction, but they're here, they're real, and I love them. Now on the surface, yes, these are great wireless Bluetooth earbuds. They're super comfortable. They're extremely, surprisingly lightweight. They've got a super sleek design. They're gonna make anything you listen to, movies, TV shows, podcasts, music, all it's gonna sound great. And a whopping 36 hours of battery life when you're pairing them with the case. It's great. Checks all the boxes, but that's just sort of the tip of the iceberg. What's even cooler is the built-in smarts, because these have the ability to record both the things around you in the real world, conversations you're having, lectures you're attending, meetings, and also the virtual stuff as well. Zoom calls, podcasts you're listening to, YouTube videos, and things like that. Basically making it so you never have to take handwritten notes or even type notes ever again. These will literally do it for you. And personally for me, what's so incredibly cool is you get the best of both worlds here. If you just want to sort of record a conversation you're having, maybe you've got a meeting with your boss, you can just open up the case, press the record button, set it and forget it. You don't have to do anything else, you are good. But these days, what many of us want is the ability to record, the work calls we're on, or we're listening to a podcast, or maybe we're watching our favorite YouTuber, and we are so just entranced with what he's saying, so enchanted by his voice, that we want to go back and understand what he said later. This is where the Rec Dot are just invaluable, because it makes it so incredibly easy. Then what's even cooler is you pair this up with the companion app, and you can obviously go back through and listen to the recording again. You can get a full-on transcription, or harness the power of AI to get a to-do list automatically from what you recorded, or even a summary. You can share that, and also a translation is built in as well. So if you want to learn more about one of the coolest pieces of tech of 2025 and check out the amazing, both audio quality and also recording capabilities of the VAIM Rec Dot, link is going to be down below. Learn more, give your smartphone, your computer, anything a serious upgrade with these right now. Check them out, they're amazing. Link right down below. All right, so there's my one wild theory of Elon, which could make some sense, but the second theory that makes much more sense, and again, could actually be the best thing for Apple right now, could be Jony Ive returning to Apple. Again, I know this guy is kind of a little bit of a controversial figure. A lot of people thought he put way much, stock in design and form than he did over function and things like that. And maybe there's an argument to be made that Apple products have been better since Jony Ive and team left the building. But if there's one person on the planet that shared the Apple ethos, this name is Steve Jobs. Someone who understood the company and its mission and its values to its core, pun intended, that would be Jony Ive. There is no other person on the planet that is like him and understands Apple. And love it or hate it, Jony Ive was instrumental in some of the most groundbreaking tech products we've seen. He has some very iconic designs that are still sort of around to this day. Now, things are a little bit more complicated these days since Jony Ive is working with Sam Altman and OpenAI and all that drama, but just sort of put that to the side for a moment, maybe that could actually be an advantage. If Jony Ive was to come back as Apple CEO, it would certainly bring with it some sweeping changes. And maybe the best move for Jony would to be CEO, but also have like a big like supplemental support staff, because I don't think he wants to do that. But also he could really be a CEO who focuses on design. I mean, if Tim Cook is an Apple CEO who focuses more on logistics and strategy and all that stuff, and less on design, but it still gets done, I think Jony Ive could flip that script. He comes in, he's a CEO focused on design and the little details and the intricacies, and maybe he's got a more robust executive team that handles more of the CEO stuff. Again, all of this might sound complicated, but Apple is in desperate need of a shakeup right now, and this might just be what is necessary to get Apple back to making cool stuff. And then we've got choice number 3, the more logical route. Apple will likely want to promote from within, not bring in an outside or bring back a outside candidate who was formerly on the inside. So they're looking at sort of their slate of talent. And obviously I know Craig Federighi, he's a fan favorite. Everybody loves him. He's fun, he's energetic, he's charismatic. But from what we've heard, he doesn't really want the CEO role. That's not really his thing or his specialty. And also one of the big sort of, let's just call it an issue here, is that Apple needs a CEO sort of ready for the next 10 to 20 years. And they don't want to promote someone who's a little bit older, like Jeff Williams or Tim Cook. Not calling Craig old, but just saying it's something to consider. So Apple would be looking at someone younger. And there are a couple of, fresh faces that have started to become more regular. Alan Dye is a guy who's really been a big proponent of Apple's new design language, sort of like Apple's framing him as the new Jony Ive 2.0. We've also got Mike Rockwell. He was instrumental in Vision Pro, and he's now taking over Siri. He's a big player. But what seems most likely right now as Apple's next pick for CEO is, of course, the one and only John Ternus, who has become a familiar face over and over and over again. And if you look at his credentials, he's been at Apple for a long, long time, working behind the scenes on like every major product: iPhone, iPad, AirPods, Apple Watch, and Mac. And also, let's just, call it what it is. If John Ternus is the face of the Mac line, which he kind of is right now, if there is one part of Apple that has never been better, never been more powerful, never been a better bang for the buck, it is the Mac line. The Apple Silicon transition has been so amazing in reigniting the Apple Mac line. The portables are great, the desktops are great, and everything is going swimmingly well, maybe thanks to John Ternus. So maybe this wouldn't be the worst idea of someone to bring in. Now, we don't know his management style, we don't know his decision making, we don't know sort of which way he goes, but having someone young or younger and also experienced in doing some major, shakeups like that would be very encouraging. So I don't know where this lands, and I'm curious to hear from you guys. Who would be your top pick to replace Tim Cook? And not just that, what would you want to see from Apple's next CEO? Do you want someone focused way more on design and product than logistics and numbers? Like, would you be okay if they sort of became, less about the numbers and more about the products? Or do you think they should continue to diversify in services? Just let me know your thoughts down below. Who you want to see succeed Tim Cook? Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Robert Rosenfeld from the Apple Circle. I'm sure I'm going to jump into the comments because it's going to be a spicy time down there. I'll see you guys down there, and I'll see ya in the next one.